How's the exam going? For those of you who have been able to get into it and look, decent, 2 fists, shaking, dancing, good, dancing. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Not due today, obviously. It's due Thursday. Feel free to email me. I apologize for having to cancel office hours yesterday. They pulled this negotiations meeting out of thin air, and if you haven't had the joy, unbridled joy of being on negotiations, I hope you never have to. Anyway, so I'm going to stop with that. But anyway, it was right over office hours. I apologize for anybody who tried to come by. I did shoot an email out that you guys know early yesterday morning. Hopefully you got that. That I had to cancel. Exam. All the links are working. Everything's golden. Spreadsheet's opening. I mean, I checked that a while ago. I did email out a fix, a little typo. And it's funny because I emailed the typo out, and then I had like 5 or 6 students email back and go, oh my god, I had already done it.
Me too.
Didn't even notice the typo. And I think that's due to the fact that you don't even notice that. I mean, you look at the image I screenshotted on the paper, and then you go to the spreadsheet, oh, there it is. You don't even look at the column, it's just there. So anyway, I fixed it. There's also another error on the last page, which I didn't even catch originally, with that moving average page. It doesn't affect your answer. I didn't change it. I left it alone. Because it doesn't change the numbers at all, but it's a little typo again. It's one of those weird things where your brain kind of divides itself into right and wrong. Wrong's right enough-ish. You know, leave that as it is too. So the exam Thursday. Make sure you don't wait till Wednesday night to start that thing. I did stack some more office hours on tomorrow. They usually go 1 to 3 on Wednesdays. I'm just going to stay like 1 straight through to 5. So feel free to come by if you need anything answered. And then I apologize again for yesterday. There's a quiz due today, but I said feel free if you want to turn it in Thursday. And I apologize if anybody's looking at Chebyshev, my Russian friend's quiz. I want to pull it up here for a second. And it is, here we go. So here's Chebyshev. Chebyshev, the wonderful Russian statistician that gave us a really cool result. The whole point of this quiz is to give you a tool if you need to talk about data within a certain number of standard deviations and the data isn't bell-shaped. This gives you a tool. So right now we have that 2/3, 95%, 100% rule, and you see those right there, 50%, about blah, blah, blah. If you have bell-shaped data, then yes, you can totally go with those percentages. What if you don't? What if you have highly skewed data? Well, that's where the Chebyshev's theorem is actually kind of neat. It says that I don't care what your data looks like. It could look like a W. It could look like a bunch of W's in a row. Up, down, up, down, up, down. He proved for us back in whatever it was, 1800s, that no matter what the data shape is, there's a minimum percentage of data that has to be within a certain number of standard deviations. And the first part of the quiz is go find that relationship. There's a neat algebraic relationship with using the variable k. It sounds like most of you are finding that beautifully, which is great. And then down here, I have you use the formula by sticking in values of k and seeing what percentages come out. I forgot to put, I put one footnote on. right there. You know, if you plug 1 into that formula, you get the number 0 out. Which means that at least none of the data exists within 1 standard deviation, to which you go, yay. That's awesome. Thanks. Thanks for that useless piece. But it's not really useless. It gives you a bottom bound. Now here's where it does get useless though. When you start getting into these, you're going to start getting silly results. Okay? Algebraically, don't worry about that. These should be silly. And I forgot to put the damn footnote on them to let you know. Don't worry, these will be silly results. Because a bunch of you have noticed that there's a limitation, depending on where you get your source from, that Chebyshev's theorem only works when k is bigger than 1. If you did some Googling, it depends on what source you got. Some sources say that, some sources don't say that. If the sources do say that, then I'm not allowed to plug this, that, and that into it, because those aren't greater than 1. But algebraically, you can plug those numbers in. So that's what I want you to do, is to plug the numbers in and get the results. But I forgot to tell you that you were going to have that happen. So if you're getting weird numbers here, it's okay. You're supposed to. Nathan?
I already turned mine in. I didn't put those numbers. I just put that it's not applicable.
That's totally fine. And I'll make sure Amber knows that.
Okay.
I'll make sure Amber knows that when she takes a look at it. Because that's the kind of thing she'll knock points off for. No, it doesn't say blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
You obviously, you got the better idea is the fact that it's not applicable.
Yes.
Because the K is not. And then this is, of course, extra credit should you choose to go for it. It's actually skipping forward in the class about 4 weeks. That's a question we will answer in about 4 weeks together. So if you want to try that one for extra credit point, then by all means, go ahead. Cool. Just wanted to put your mind at ease. A lot of people in the first period were a little pissed about that. I wanted to make sure not to upset anybody. Rory, yeah?
We're plugging those values into the theorem
Whatever formula you've got to generate these numbers here.
to generate those numbers in.
And that's pretty much what it just tells you up in here. Cool? That's it. That's it. It's pretty straightforward. It's the kind of thing that most textbooks do have a section on, but I don't think it's important enough to like have on your exam. It's a nice tool, but it's a fairly limited tool because most of the data you guys are going to play with is going to be bell-shaped or bell-shaped enough. If it's not bell-shaped, you can still calculate a standard deviation, but then we get into that tricky area of should you even be talking about standard deviations when you have non-bell-shaped data? That's a tricky question. We're going to go back to that question today. Because it's not, I don't think we're done answering it yet. It's one of those things, like I can show you a formula that plug numbers in and get a standard deviation out, but then you've got this number, should I even use this? So we talk about the Jurassic Park question. Should you even use that number you just calculated? So we'll come back to that today. Cool? Fairish? So I want to use this to springboard into what we were talking about on, keep the screen for a second, on Thursday. Before I get into that though, any general questions about the exam that's coming up? Any general concerns, like I can't get the spreadsheet to load or I can't get the links to work? They're all working on my computer, they're working on local computers on campus. The one thing I can tell you, you always have some kind of Excel component to these exams, this one and the last exam. If something's not working at your house, just come to school and knock out the Excel part. It probably won't take you very long, honestly, 20, 30 minutes tops, I'm guessing. A couple nods saying, yeah, it's about this. So, I mean, you could spend more time trying to fix the problem at your own house than just coming to school and knocking it out here. And that's unfortunate that we can't just, you know, but because, yeah, anyway, that's my caveat. So, I taught